This has been about a year, a little bit over a year now, actually, of changes in professional wrestling, in my personal life, and a lot of things. But we're talking about wrestling on this show, not usually our personal life.
Really? Seriously? We talk about our personal lives all the damn time.
And I
Sorry,
realized,
didn't mean to cut into your intro there, but come on.
I mean, All In happened, and before that MLW happened, NWA has been taking hold, Impact has been taking hold, Ring of Honor's had some decent stuff, NJPW's had some great stuff. So I mean, this has been a year where WWE, which had been kind of downtrending for me anyway, is completely on the back burner in favor of all these other wrestling promotions. There's just paradigm shifts all over the place, including Mr. Paradigm Shift, of course, Jon Moxley abandoning WWE in a huge money contract to join AEW. But maybe the greatest paradigm shift I've ever seen happened on Saturday night, a Saturday Night Superfight, when, of course now I'm blanking on his name, but the leader of Contra Unit had a chance to throw a fireball right in the face of LA Park and help his man on to victory, help Fatu keep his championship, but instead, in a move that made Jeff, Son, and myself just stand up clapping and cheering, and Jeff just laugh his ass off when he was already standing up, he threw the fireball right in the face of the goddamn referee. And you know what? It might be the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I'm going to stand right there with you. That was one of the best things I have ever seen, and I wish more people would have done that. I can't believe nobody's ever thought of that before. That was just an amazing moment to top off an amazing match.
Yeah. It was a great match. It was a great night of wrestling. A match that Jeff and I had talked about going into it was a match that neither one of us was really looking forward to. We had our minds changed, and I told Jeff afterwards we shouldn't have doubted LA Park because he always delivers on the big stage.
Well, the thing about LA Park is that, yes, he's delivered. Yes, he's been, great for, 25, 26 years?
Yeah.
But the last time I really watched a match by him and thought, oh my God, that's one of the best things I've ever seen, was some of his stuff in WCW. And I even told you on Saturday night, my greatest memory of LA Park was when DDP dressed up as him to Diamond Cutter Scott Hall. LA Park to me has always been one of those guys who I've never really gotten into the way that I maybe should have. But the way that man wrestled on Saturday night sold me on him, and I am a fan of his going forward. There's no question. What he was able to pull off and to do it with a guy of Jacob Fatu's ability and charisma and just to stand there toe-to-toe and deliver the way that he did, that was an amazing match. That easily was the match of the night.
If we had time, it almost makes you want to go back and watch some of the stuff from CMLL to see how much we missed over the years.
Exactly, because, if you think about it, LA Park, he had his run in WCW, then he was gone. Next time we saw him was 2018 in MLW, and he was never near the guy that we thought he would be, or that we expected. And when I remember saying when he won the Battle Riot, that this man does not deserve this. He's just not a good man, or not a good wrestler. Man. And I didn't. Sorry, I was a little distracted. No, he was not a guy that I would have picked at the top of my list of being a great wrestler. And I did not think he was deserving. I thought that was a bad way for them to go. But the match that man put on with Fatu, I can't deny him anymore. I just can't.
Don't be distracted. Just put the phone away and tell her to shut up for an hour.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I did. I just did. I actually legitimately just did.
Yeah, I think LA Park, I think the problem with me for him winning the Battle Royal Riot, I should say, was simply that, he's part of the old generation. So it's not something that, was exciting to me, because I would much rather have had, a younger talent win it like Tom Lawler, and
right.
challenge for that championship. And then, of course, when it was going to be heel, and Fatu had beaten Lawler for the championship, and LA Park, was seizing that opportunity to wrestle for the first time on pay-per-view in a world championship fight for MLW. And I'm going to say fight because they call their matches fights, which is awesome. It just wasn't something that resonated with, I think, either of us, just because, first of all, we hadn't followed CMLL, so we haven't really followed LA Park's career much, or since WCW folded, as far as I can remember. And also because he looks like he's out of shape, he's old. This is 2019, so it should be about the new blood going forward. But I think, like you said, LA Park proved his place there. He wrestled beyond his years, and this has also been a year, I guess, for wrestlers to kind of come out of retirement and be something, because we also have seen that with I'm not having a good time with wrestlers' names tonight. But,
which promotion?
The guy in ROH, the Canadian monster.
Yeah, PCO.
PCO, yeah. And I know he's basically just a bump machine, whereas LA Park was actually giving a lot in this match, and of course Dustin Rhodes in that fantastic match against Cody earlier this year. Chris Jericho's had a career renaissance over the last 18 months or so. It's just been a nice of these older generation guys that, we criticized WWE so much when they would bring back the old guys for the WrestleMania spots and stuff, but it was because those guys deserve it.
And they were only part-time. They were there.
Yeah.
They were there for one match. They didn't earn their spot. They came in, Triple H comes in, has a match against the top guy in the company, Seth Rollins. What did he do? Just because he used to mentor him? With LA Park and PCO and, these guys that have really kind of made mark again after being 25, 30 years since we've really respected them in the wrestling ring, they've gone back and earned it. PCO had some runs in MLW and the independents where it was oh my God, he's a bump machine. But the fact that he is a 5-year-old man putting his body through that is just astonishing. And maybe people like RVD and Sabu and Rhino, and I guess I can't say Rhino. Rhino's not that old, is he? He's mid-40s. Yeah, he's early 40s. So it's not like he's a super old guy yet. But you've got all these other guys, and even Rey Mysterio in WWE. He's gone out there, and this is a guy who is way older than should be able to perform at the level they are, and they're proving themselves. They're not just walking into a match against the top guy. They are proving themselves. They're earning their positions. And LA Park has done that over the last couple of years in MLW, even though, to me, he's been okay, why am I watching this guy? Why is he so good? Why is he the number one contender? He took every criticism that I had against him. And you and I wouldn't, and Jacob, even my son, when we were watching this match, we all said the same thing. Why? This is going to be a squash match. And then 5 minutes in, we're like, holy shit, this is a great match. And then 10 minutes in, we're like, what the hell were we thinking? How did we think he wasn't going to be able to pull this off? And then by the time that finish came, we were sold on the fact that he could legitimately not only win this, but carry the title. That's how great his performance was.
Yeah, and like I said, he really gave a lot in that match, because it wasn't just his great wrestling, but he was selling a lot in that match. His face was not his face, but his mask was his face was ripped because his mask was ripped, and he was displaying his face for the first time that I'd ever seen. I don't know if it ever happened in Mexico, but he wasn't unmasked, but his mask was ripped, and we could see a great portion of his face, and he was out there bleeding, and you could see the determination on his face. It was really a great performance by him. And then by everybody in the match, really. Selena Del Renta took, I think, probably her first bump ever, and it was a massive one through a table. And
she sold it she sold it like a queen. Yeah. The fact that she did not move a muscle for 3 to 4 minutes was amazing. absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And okay,
and you know, you were right there when I volunteered to go out there and help her give her mouth to mouth.
well, yeah, I think we both volunteered that multiple times.
Yeah.
I think even Jacob volunteered that once,
Could be.
which made me so proud of my son. Okay, we have to say it because it's the more I've thought about this match, and I definitely want to go back and watch it again. But in our match of the year contenders, where do you put this? I think it's top 5. I thought it was that good of a match. Fatu is just a freak. And I said it during the show, and I said it before the show. I don't understand how he is the only one of the NOI family that's not in WWE, especially when all his cousins are. And he went out and had probably a match of the year contender, and LA Park with the way that he performed. I'm having a hard time keeping this out of the match of the year conversation.
Is that because we had such low expectations coming into it, though? Because it was great, but it was because I think that a lot of it's because we weren't expecting it to be that great.
And that's a possibility.
I don't know if it would. I don't know if it's in, my top 5 for match of the year. But it's certainly something when I'll be willing to go back and watch, assuming that we have the time when it's match of the year, discussion time.
Well, we're gonna have to compile our matches of the year, but because there's so many of them, but it's hard for me to keep it off the list. Maybe not top 5. I might have been, overselling it a little bit, but it's very hard for me to keep that off the list. It really, truly is.
Well, probably the first match we'll talk about. In JPW, probably the first match for me that was in the discussion for match of the year was, of course, Jay White versus Okada from Wrestle Kingdom.
Yep.
And then probably my second match of the year was, and held it for quite a while for me, was
Cody and Dustin.
No, was Joe Coffey versus Pete Dunne.
At
TakeOver Cardiff, I think it was.
See, and I still like the White Okada match ahead of that, even though I loved what Dunne had done. Why can't he have a different last name so I can make this sentence make sense?
Well, anybody else probably wouldn't be able to make the sentence make sense either way. But
oh my God. Why do I like you?
My point was, when I think back to Joe Coffey versus Pete Dunne, and I think to LA Park versus Jacob Fatu, I don't think I could put Jacob Fatu versus LA Park above Coffey versus Dunne. So to me, even a match I had like back in January, it's not going to beat. So it probably isn't in my match of the year discussion.
Yeah, but what has been better since? I mean, we both kind of agreed on. We both agreed on Dusty versus Cody. I thought that Cole versus Gargano in not the 2 out of 3 falls match, the one they had after that at TakeOver 25 was better. But honestly, that Jay White Naito match was amazing.
It was, and then we've got some Will Ospreay matches in there, including against
that's true. That felt, you're right. You're right.
Sonata
you're right.
Versus
Okada, that last one they just had.
But I was going to say Sonata versus Suzuki was my match of the year, for until Dustin versus Cody.
I mean, if I were to rank,
there was that great ladder match at Supercard.
Oh God, there was. Jesus, this is gonna be a hard year. Last year we didn't have this big a problem. There was only.
And in that same weekend we had Matt Taven versus Alex Shelley,
which was amazing.
Which was amazing, and then the next night that triple threat for the North American title between Pete Dunne, Dream, and Roderick Strong.
And I hate to throw a couple of monkey wrenches into this, but I know you haven't been watching NXT. You've just been kind of there. My kid took me into watching that horrific match from Crown Jewel with Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins. And it was an okay match. There was just so many outside things that really brought it down. I mean, dramatically brought it down. But then when you look at a couple, and then he was like, you know what, let's watch the NXT from, you know, this last Wednesday. And I was like, all right, you know what, fuck it. I don't feel like, you know, getting you into anything else. Let's watch it. There were 2 matches on NXT, and one of which, and not this last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, one of which that I think could end up being in a match of the year contendership, even though it was a TV match. And I kind of want you to watch it just so you can kind of see if you saw what I did. But Roderick Strong versus Dodger Kovac versus Keithley.
Okay.
Was an amazing match. Another match on that card that was really good, but I don't know if it was, you know, even top 10, but it was one that literally had me on the edge of my seat. So it was Matt Riddle versus Cameron Grimes.
Interesting.
Both those matches from 2 weeks ago were just amazing. And I'm so glad I got to watch those with my kid, because I'm watching them going, look, this is what wrestling is. Forget everything you see. Forget all the stupidity. Forget all the WWE nonsense. This is wrestling. And they both were that good. And I think they're ones you definitely need to go and look and see if you saw what I did.
Well, and then let's also talk about, you know, the fact that we had, you know, Brian Cage versus Michael Elgin. We had Sami Callihan versus Tessa Blanchard on the same night.
Jesus, that match was, that was good.
Which is probably my second best match of the year right now, behind Dustin versus Cody. And then, you know, that was Tessa, Tessa, Sami won, because the second one I didn't think was that great. And then you have, and then the most 2 recent matches between Sami versus Cage, where they've both been outstanding as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's so much out there that I really enjoyed LA Park versus Joseph Fatu. Is probably the best match in MLW history, but I don't know that I can have it up there in my match of the year listing.
You know, and the surprising thing is, and like, maybe you said it right. Maybe we had so low expectations for it, because both you and I came into that where, like, the only thing we really wanted to watch was Austin Aries versus Teddy Hart. But the fact that there was so much other stuff on there, we're like, okay, yeah, I like this guy, I like that guy. I want to see what Jacob Fatu can do. That when we watched that match, we came into it and we're like, geez, this could take like 10 minutes. And it ended up being, what, a 25, 30-minute match? And I
think so, yeah.
And it wasn't just the performance by the 2 wrestlers as far as in the ring, but the way that LA Park sold that injury. That I mean, we had that. There was a little bit of what the hell when Fatu had to have the referee distracted. So what's his name? Why can't I think of his name?
I know, I can never remember.
The manager guy. the manager guy.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, but he had to distract.
But when he came into when he had to get Fatu and Selena De La Renta involved so that he can come and spike La Parka, it was like, why? It's a no DQ match. And, you know, we both had that, but that was really the only misstep in this entire match. The rest of it was amazing selling by both sides. You know, they both, with LA Park just gushing blood, and the fact that he didn't even care. It was weird, because that's the one thing luchas have always been known for, is they got to hide their face. They got to hide their face. And how many times did he pull his mask down so that we could see his face, just so he could wipe blood out of his eyes? Right. It was such an amazing performance by not only LA Park, but everyone involved, everybody in this match, that it's hard for me to say that it's not a match of the year contender.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just, but I just had to, you know, I was just thinking, like, back through the year, and there's so many matches that I enjoyed more than this one, that I just don't know that I'd be able to put it up there. And a lot of it comes down to just emotional investment. I mean, how much emotional investment did I have in LA Park coming in? How much emotion I like Jack and Pat too, but how much emotional investment do I have in him versus um, Sonata or Sammy Callahan or Tessa Blanchard? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, and I'm going to have to watch the match again when I'm not taken off guard like I was. I think maybe a lot of my love for it was because it was so different than what I was expecting, that maybe I love it a little bit more than I should. But yeah, that's definitely something that I should watch again.
Yeah, definitely we should watch it again. And the other thing with it is simply that there's just so much to it. I mean, there's a lot of great moments in this match. I mean, it was a great match in general, but then you talk about the blood dripping down, and like you said, all the times where he had to pull his mask down to wipe the blood away. Talk about the two springboard somersault planches, back into the ring by one by each guy that you didn't think either one of them could do, and they both do it. And then, like I said, that spot with the fireball to the referee's face that was just amazing, and then that spear where so like you said, Selena De La Renta took it like a queen and was just like laid out and looked like she was dead, and that might have spelled the complete end of Rosiones Del Rado. I mean, there was so many things happening in this match that I mean, definitely it belongs in the discussion for match of the year. I just don't see how it wins. Is all I'm saying.
It's possible, and there was last. I mean, remember when we were doing this last year? We had our top ones picked, and then we went back and watched a couple we thought were on the fringe, and they ended up making it our top fives.
Yeah.
So, it's possible that when we go back and watch it, I might have a whole different feeling on it. It's possible it might actually move up the charts. It's all going to depend.
A match that I think coming in that we, like you said, we both really were looking forward to. I told you like we were watching on the night that I felt like there was some great stuff on the card, but it was just so poorly structured or so weirdly structured to me that I had trouble, getting into a lot of it. And one of those things was simply that Teddy Hart defending the middleweight title against Austin Aries was put so early in the card. Where I thought that it should have been the semi-main, and instead it was in third position behind the only two tag matches on the night that started the show off, and it was just like a weird way that it seemed like they weren't really separating anything out, and it seemed kind of weird. But still, I do think that Hart and Aries delivered, just to me with the wrong winner.
Yeah, I agree. I think Austin should have won that match. I was a little disappointed that he didn't, but in a weird way, I kind of get where they're coming from, because the only real power faction they have left is Hart Foundation after the way the Dynasty was punked, and especially MJF. I do agree. I thought that might have been a kind of a rough. Austin should have won it. I'm just going to leave it at that. It was a great match. It was a really great match. I liked Teddy Hart. I felt like there were spots in it, and we even talked about it on Saturday, how there were spots where his selling was a little inconsistent, but then he kind of made up for it in the second half of the match.
Yeah.
So it turned the match around. Austin was his normal self. I mean, he was a magician throughout the entire match. And he's such an, and I hate to say it because I do agree that it's probably his attitude that gets him in trouble everywhere, but man, that guy is so talented. I wish MLW would give him more mic time, but I also want to see MLW give him more ring time, because he is so good in the ring. So good.
Yeah, he's only had this was like his third match, wasn't it? Since
right,
he
yeah.
In the promotion.
And he's been in the promotion a couple of months now, and we like the fact that they don't overexpose us to people, but this is a guy you need to overexpose us to. I mean, he's in his early 40s. He's a generational talent. And he is so good at what he does, not only on the mic but in the ring. And this is a guy we definitely need to see more of than we have been seeing.
Definitely, and you know, you wonder, at least I do, if this wasn't the guy to take the middleweight championship from Teddy Hart, who's going to do it? You know, Hart's held the title for almost a year now, and it's not like there's a plethora of middleweight talent in the promotion. Well, no, I guess there is actually, because you got guys like what's his name, Super Loco.
Gringo Loco.
Gringo Loco, and then you have all those guys. Like, I guess Airwolf would be a good choice actually.
Well, and there's so many other guys though too. Like, wouldn't this not be a good time for Injustice to maybe get a title? Throw it on Marlon Reed
or Jordan Oliver.
Or even Cotto Brazil for that matter. Cotto Brazil has been so impressive since he's turned heel that it's hard for me to deny that guy too. You know, and one of the things we talked about it a couple of times, is the reason why we like MLW so much is not because of their overall talent, but because of the young talent.
Yeah.
MJF. Pretty much everybody in Injustice, and of course Myron Reed to me leads the bunch. But Cotto Brazil and Jordan Oliver on Saturday night, maybe it was his new look, maybe it was the fact that he went black instead of orange and he let his hair down without that stupid headband. But I felt like Jordan Oliver put on the best match he ever did. I've never seen him sell like he did. Somebody told me once, or I in an interview where I was that one of the easiest way to sell is long hair, because the way that you throw that hair around sells every move so much more. And with Jordan Oliver being in his normal ponytail and headband, this might have been the best he's looked, not only selling but everything.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I never thought of that, but yeah, I guess I can see like where if your long hair is flying around and flowing every place, it's gonna look better than the guy with short hair whose head's moving around, because you're not going to see as much action.
Right, exactly. When you see that hair flying, then it makes it look.
The better word for that, I suppose.
It makes it look more. It makes it look more devastating when you see a guy's head snap back and that hair just flies back.
Right.
And I think that may have been part of why Jordan Oliver looks so much better than he has normally, because this really was the first time we've seen him with his hair down. It's hard to tell, but Myron Reed to me is a superstar in the making. Of course, I like Teddy Hart and Austin Aries, but they're older guys. Pillman, as much as you hate him, I can't deny the match he had against Teddy Hart. Or, I'm sorry, against Low Ki. That was an amazing match. Mance Warner is fun to watch. Alexander Hammerstone could be one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet. And then, of course, Fatu. They have such young talent that makes it fun to watch, because these are the guys that you're looking at going, okay, he's going to be the next superstar.
Yeah, and I still think, like character-wise, the best guy that got in that promotion is Mance Warner.
Character-wise, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. Wrestler-wise,
I do think he's strong in the ring as well, but I mean he's definitely the best character they've got, and that's something that's really important for like marketing and all that kind of stuff, that you have a character that you can sell as well.
Yeah. And he's that guy. He is definitely that guy. And I think Hammerstone is another guy who is on the borderline of that character, where Mance is this crazy psychopath. I would love to see a program between those two, Warner and Hammerstone. I think their styles, their characters, they just are so opposite that they would mesh immensely, and would be something I would love to see.
I agree, and I think it's time that this feud between the Dynasty and the Hart Foundation just ends, because it's been going on for so long. And it's time for those guys to step aside and to step apart from each other and feud with and have matches with somebody else. Now that Hammerstone's defended against both Davey and Pillman successfully, it's probably time to give somebody else a chance against the Dynasty.
Well, and the way that they successfully wrote MJF off, and say what you will, the fact that he took an embarrassing clean pin. It wasn't just a clean pin, it was an embarrassing clean pin to the Von Erichs. I think
I'm just not convinced they're going to write him off, though, because he's still under contract to them. I mean, as far as I know.
Is he really?
I don't know what his contract was, but I know that the only reason he's able to work for MLW is because of the specific way the contracts are written. That they wouldn't be able to work for Impact, Ring of Honor, or WWE, and because there was not AEW at the time, he was able to actually work for AEW as well. So I don't really know for sure. Yeah, I guess when his contract is up, but I'm not totally convinced that they've written him off their program because he might still be in a contract with them.
Yeah, but to have that embarrassing clean win like that is tough. And I'm a little bit annoyed because, like an idiot, instead of Monday Night Football tonight, I was like, okay, we do a wrestling show. Let me turn on Raw. And Seth Rollins comes out and he does his little spiel, and Triple H interrupts him. And then all of a sudden, here comes Undisputed Era. They make their stand, and then the OC comes out. So now, here's our main event. A 4-man tag match between Undisputed Era, Seth Rollins, and the OC. Typical Raw booking.
Seth Rollins and the OC are teaming up?
Yeah. Well, that was one thing we were going to talk about. You didn't realize Seth Rollins turned heel. But he didn't turn heel because they made him turn heel. He turned heel because he's a dick. And again, he gets on social media and starts running everybody on the planet down. And then he runs down the WWE fans, saying how fickle they are and how they don't understand what good TV is. And the only reason that they are booing him is because he's become so popular, and they don't get it. So
Rollins turned heel again?
I don't know if he's turned heel or if he's just turned kind of heel because, well, that's the fans are booing him.
Oh.
But the fact that he
I guess it doesn't really matter to me either way. But
and Zack Ryder just came and made a save. All right, I got to shut this shit off because this is awful. When Zack Ryder is making a save, it's done. I'm done with it.
Well,
Let's turn on Monday Night Football.
I am. First of all, no, because football sucks. Secondly,
football does not suck. Football is awesome.
Incorrect.
Fuck.
But anyway, my point was going to be, before you so rudely interrupted with your football nonsense, is that
sorry. Sorry.
I had actually read something on Twitter this weekend about how NXT invaded SmackDown this past Friday, and that immediately made me not want to watch NXT anymore. I know they probably did it. I know that they're probably hoping for other responses in that, like, oh, if NXT's on the main shows, that'll help NXT win the Wednesday Night War, and more people will be excited because WWE talent is on NXT. No, that's not the answer for it, because the more WWE talent that's on NXT, the more I'm not going to care about it. And,
yeah.
And while yes, I'll go back and watch the matches you were telling me about that Jacob convinced you to watch and that were great. I'll definitely do that. Because I'll accept your opinion on those and give them a shot. But it makes me, I had already kind of basically decided that NXT wasn't going to get my time over, the other promotions out there. But this just reinforces that opinion that why would I want to devote time if to them if they don't even have faith in their own show. Exactly,
and I agree with that. And the only reason I even bought into these matches is because it was NXT versus NXT talent. I felt like they put on a great match, and had it been Daniel Bryan showing up against Keithley, I probably wouldn't have said a thing, because you know what you're getting out of Daniel Bryan. You know that's a great match. But the fact that these were guys that, as an indie fan or even as a NXT fan, you know we're going to get greatness out of these guys. And the fact that they were able to put on the matches that they were, I will rarely recommend a match to you because you usually see the same stuff I do. But the fact that this was as good as it was, I had to throw that out there. Had to.
Yeah, and I wanted to see it. It's just that, trying to fit it in with everything else I was watching, it was kind of difficult.
But, I mean, as far as the MLW goes, I hate to bring it back to this, I just felt like that it was a great show. I felt like the pre-show was great. I felt like the main show was great. It was definitely worth the $20. Granted, there was a little bit here and there where I could have been like, I could have done without that. But all in all, I felt like this was a great pay-per-view. It had some great matches, some surprising matches, some things I never thought I'd see again, and those announcers were on point the entire night. Rich Bocchini, I've not heard him be good with anybody but Jim Cornette. And to have this new guy in the booth who I'd never heard before, all of a sudden these two are meshing and really getting along and getting off one-liners. I thought it was a great performance all the way around. Granted, the basketball hoops in the background and the gym floor could have been covered a little better, but all in all, this was a great pay-per-view by them.
Yeah, but you and I have also said before, we don't care about how a show looks, we care about the wrestling on the show, and of course, the way the announcers announce the show. And yeah, you're right, they were getting some great one-liners. My favorite one I told you was one that you actually had missed because you had stepped outside for a moment, but was when Rich Bocchini said that Gringo Loco said about Gringo Loco that his back teeth are now his front teeth are now his back teeth.
I don't know. The Jimmy Havoc line might have been my favorite.
Which one was that again?
Last Thursday was Halloween, or we're just coming off Halloween, right. But to Jimmy Havoc, that's just Thursday. I thought that was phenomenal. They had so many good lines between those two that it was really hard to pick my favorite. But God, those two meshed so well together that I don't want to see Cornette or Shivani back in the well, Cornette's not coming back, but I don't want to see Shivani back. I just want to see these two continue together because they've been so good lately. And then this pay-per-view, the way they played off each other was just amazing. Absolutely amazing commentary.
They probably shouldn't have Tony come back.
No,
because the more you work together, the more you're going to mesh, and the more you're going to be, better, more entertaining, more on the same page, all that jazz.
And both of them got their one-liners off, and they were both hysterical with their one-liners. So right. I'm okay with keeping this current. And I wish I knew who that guy was. I really do, because all I know him is as AJ. Just because he's been around for a couple of weeks since they went to Mexico. But, yeah, he's definitely... Him and Bocchini make a good team together. Really good team.
They do, yeah. I have no idea what his name is either, so I can't help you there.
But anything else on this one? Because we don't have a whole lot of time left, and we got other things to touch on.
You're right, we do not. No, I would just recommend people check it out, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they go from here after this pay-per-view. And the one thing they did announce that's pretty exciting is that they're going to actually have a live show on Thanksgiving available on YouTube and BN Sports, and I believe on the Fight Network, all on the same night.
Which is really cool for those of us fans that have been around since the 80s. Because, the 80s, mid-90s, from the mid-80s to the mid-90s, we had Survivor Series. That was always our Thanksgiving night thing, and I guess it's been so long.
Starcade started on Thanksgivings as well.
Yeah, it did. You're right, it did. So, and now it's been, 20 years since they've really had anything on Thanksgiving night?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool little treat to have something new, something different, and to be back on Thanksgiving night, because what else are we going to do before Black Friday? go stand in line. I'm not standing in line. I want to watch wrestling.
Well, I know weirdos like you are going to watch, football on Thanksgiving too, but...
Yeah, during the day. That shit ends by like 7 o'clock because the night game usually sucks.
Why is that?
Just saying.
Oh, yeah, because it's football, that's why.
Oh, shut up. Hey, I won a lot of money this weekend, so... Me being the degenerate gambler I am, won a lot of money this weekend, so I'm happy with football right now.
Well, good for you. I still think it's the most boring sport out there besides hockey.
How could... Oh, my God, I don't even know you anymore.
You know I hate hockey.
Hockey is the greatest sport known to man.
You know I was pissed off when you told me to listen to Edge and Christian's show and you didn't bother telling me that they started every show talking about hockey for 10 fucking hours.
The amount of hockey they talk about? That's part of why I like them so much.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a... Well, you got to... First of all, I'm not from Minnesota, but secondly, yeah, I'm one of the few people that live in Minnesota that don't like hockey at all.
I don't even know you anymore. My whole world has turned upside. No, I didn't.
I thought you knew that.
This is news.
I felt this way about hockey.
I knew you hated football, but come on, if you're going to call a sport boring, why not baseball?
Because baseball's awesome. There's always something happening in baseball.
Oh my God. I can't even continue this. I need to stop now. This marriage is over. Anyway, NWA Power. Good week?
Oh, that's right. We do have to talk about that show, don't we? Yeah, it was great. I loved NWA Power this week. I thought it was the best week of the show so far. I really enjoyed everything on it. I loved everything, the whole setup with, Aldis, putting that team together, and I don't know, Aldis is just really firing on all cylinders for me right now.
I agree. I can't. And after that first week, I was a little annoyed because I didn't know how the retro feel was going to do. But we're now, 4 weeks in? And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the fact that they're mixing heels and faces, and they don't care. Colt Cabana, you never would have thought Colt Cabana and Nick Aldis would team together. But they did, and they worked really well together. And then you throw Ken Anderson in there, you throw in whatever Eli Drake's doing. It's like, the thing with Eli Drake is he seems to come out there and pump everybody up. But I just feel like there's this underlying thing where he's doing this for his own good. He's trying to get all this stuff in the works so that he can end up being the champion at some point. It just feels like he's underhanded. And then you had Josephus and who the hell was it? Ricky Starks? No, it wasn't Ricky Starks. Oh, it was Dick Murdoch.
Yeah, Trevor Murdoch. Yeah.
Which was a really good match. And then Aaron Stevens, I love the fact that he is back to his Savior of the Masses gimmick. But he's got a new twist on it. He's not out there spouting how intelligent he is. He's just out there kind of doing the MJF I'm better than you thing because I'm an actor. I just love his gimmick. I love the way he's working. And as much as we hated Ricky Starks at NWA 70, I love this kid now. He's just fun to watch.
I don't remember Ricky Starks at NWA 70, but I'll take your word for it.
Remember how he came out and he cut that stupid promo about how great he is and how everybody needs to bow down to him, and even the announcers were like, who is this kid?
Oh, that was that guy? Okay, yeah. I remember. Right.
And now he's an actual, now that he's figured out his gimmick, I really like him a lot more than I thought I ever would.
What I love so much about Aldo, we talked. You and I talked the other night at your house about how great the Bret Hart gimmick was in the 90s with the Hart Foundation when, he was a babyface everywhere but the United States, right?
Oh, did I just lose you? Come on. Oh, there you are.
No, I'm here.
Well, you cut out there, so I don't know what you said.
Okay, so you and I at your house the other night, right out, I think it was like right after the show was over, we were talking about the Hart Foundation and about how great it was, where the Harts Brett especially was cheered everywhere in the world except for the United States, where he was a heel.
Right.
And it seems like on NWA that to this point, Nick Aldis is a babyface to everybody except for Joe Galley, where he was a heel.
Well, Joe Galley and pretty much the announcers who try to put him over as a badass heel.
Yeah.
But when you watch his matches, the way that he put over Tim Storm, even after the match, I mean, if he was a heel, the last thing he would do is go to Joe Galley and say, "Why are you taking away from Tim Storm's moment?" It would have been the exact opposite. He would have been like, "No, this is on me. I beat him." He has been, I want to say, since not the anniversary show, but what was the one right after it? It was the anniversary show, the NWA 70.
Yeah.
When he beat Cody. He has ever since then. He's been a face character. His match against Cody against Marty Scurll, sending Camille to the back, saying, "No, you're not going to interfere." He had his matches on Ring of Honor, and every match he's had in NWA, he has been a straight up face, but playing a heel character. It's really an entertaining way to look at him, and one of those things where I've kind of been telling you for the last couple of years, you need to watch this guy. He's good in the ring. He's starting to develop a very interesting character. He's becoming a must-watch champion.
He is. I mean, I hate to admit that you were right about that, but I think it's one of those things where, you were ahead of the game because you'd always been a fan of his in TNA.
And that's possible. Yeah.
And I just, had never been there, so I think you were ahead of the game in that sense because you were more willing to give him a chance than I was.
Well, he's become such a complex character. He is really becoming that guy that you and I have been pushing for God, 5 years? How it should not be face versus heel. It should be, person versus person like it is in every other major sport. And the fact that he is able to pull off that with his whole, you can't tell if he's holding Camille back or if he's not, and him giving all this praise and everything to everybody else, it's really, really hard to get a grasp on whether he's a face or a heel. So I think it makes his character so much more compelling, and one that I cannot wait from week to week to see what he's going to do.
Right, because it's more compelling when, a guy isn't a face or a heel, when he's actually just a normal person, and in some situations he's gonna do, he's always gonna do what's right for him, and in some situations that might make him out to be a terrible person, and other ones it's gonna make him out to be a great person. Just depends on who he's facing and what he's doing against that person at that particular time.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else in existence,
Right. Exactly.
Like an example, I mean, you and I talked today about how, sometimes other opportunities come up in the world, and sometimes you have to take them, right? So it's like, if a person were to leave a position, then that person might be a heel to the company that he's leaving. But obviously, could become a big ass and a favorite of the company that he then joins. It's the same kind of situation where anywhere in life, anything you do could be cheered or booed, just depending on perspective.
Exactly, and I love the way that Nick is portraying that kind of a character. I really do. Especially when you've got everybody else on the roster really kind of setting the limits, except for those top guys. Those top guys are really clouded. Eli Drake is clouded. I don't know what the hell he's doing. We've known him as a heel for so long, and he pulls off that Rock character so well that it's hard to see him being this guy who's out there pumping everybody up. James Storm has been another guy who's really, really clouded. And then you've got Aldis. who definitely is clouded. So you got the top level of these performers in NWA, and nobody knows where they're going. We don't know what Tim Storm's doing. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? We thought he was a good guy coming in, but he has really kind of gotten a dark side since he did his whole Mama Storm gimmick. And then you've got, other people on there like Colt Cabana and Anderson. Yeah, Colt Cabana and Anderson together are a comedy team. But at the same time, we know from history that these guys can turn on a dime. And then also with the tag team division. We know what King and Homicide are capable of. They're not really playing faces right now. But they're going up against two heel teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned James Storm because, the very first week he was up against Josephus, who pretty much everybody hates. And he was beating the shit out of Josephus, and we actually saw him do that, I think, 2 weeks in a row, where he got a super kick and got the better of Josephus. And now this week, because he's gunning for a shot at the championship, he's basically like kind of put into a heel role because he doesn't necessarily think that Colt Cabana deserves a shot at his championship, but he wants a shot at Aldous' championship. So again, here it is. It's a guy who's just trying to take his own opportunity, and whether he's a heel or a babyface really doesn't matter. It's simply that these guys are complex characters.
But then again, too, why is he taking that shot? Why is he going above and beyond to get that shot at Aldous? It's not because it was forefront in his mind. It's because Eli Drake comes out and talks him into it. So now, where are we sitting with Eli Drake? Is he manipulating these two for some reason? Is he trying to get a shot at either one of the titles? What is he doing? Why is he out there pushing James Storm so hard to go after the heavyweight title? It just feels like at any point Eli Drake could turn on him, but he's out there being that rah-rah guy, and he did it now, 3 weeks in a row?
Well, I in my personal opinion, I think he wants Storm to challenge so that Storm loses and then the field is cleared for him.
That's and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is he really out there to be that rah-rah guy, or is he got some manipulating thing in the back of his mind that's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do to get my shot? It's one of those things.
Go ahead.
It's just one of those things where it's so in the open that it's hard to decide what the hell he is doing.
Right. What I was going to say is we have Into the Fire coming up in December, and I would be, we have no idea what the main event is yet, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't turn out to be Eli Drake challenging for the NWA World Championship against Nick Aldis.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it wasn't either.
I mean, it might, and even if it becomes a triple threat match, I mean, maybe Cabana's already got the national title by then, so it turns into a triple threat with Storm and Drake challenging Aldis.
Not gonna lie, I wouldn't be mad at that.
No, I wouldn't either.
Not at all. And that would be that might be the turning point that would make me actually pay for this pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both on. And that's the thing is, like, there's so much out there, and I really wish, and I know I said this before, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I really wish that, AEW wasn't charging so much for their pay-per-views, because with all the stuff that's out there, putting down $40 for full gear, as good a show as it looks like it's going to be, is really tough for me to justify.
Did you see what the main event for next week on AEW is?
For this week?
Yeah. Guevara and Jericho versus Omega and Page.
Holy shit. No, I did not see that.
Right? It just showed up on a commercial. And give it up to AEW for throwing commercials on Raw. That's awesome.
Again? That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, they did. And they're promoting Guevara and Jericho versus Page and Omega. I cannot wait to see that match. That is going to be a hell of a match.
Yeah, no kidding. Good stuff. great stuff, even.
Great stuff. It's just great stuff.
Yeah. And we will be covering that live right here on LOP Radio.
After the fact. Because we are that good. Because we are that good. That is how good we are. We'll cover it after it happens.
How drunk are you right now?
A little.
Okay. All right. So, anything else on NWA?
Not really, no.
You know, I will say you mentioned Trevor Murdoch, and he was a guy that I really loved in WWE, and I never thought got the fair shot he deserved. And now he's older and he's a bit out of shape, but I really hope that he gets more TV time and maybe gets himself in better shape and he's able to get that run that I thought he deserved back then.
Trevor Murdoch was always out of shape.
Yeah, but not the way he is now.
It was always Cade. What was his first name?
Lance
Cade. It was always Lance Cade who was the guy who was the best of that tag team. Trevor Murdoch was always.
Dude, you got to be kidding me.
According to the TV.
Oh, okay.
Murdoch was always the out of shape. Right, Murdoch was always the out of shape guy who was riding, according to TV, Lance Cade's coattails. Now, I always felt like Murdoch was the better seller of the two. I felt like he was the better performer of the two. But it was Cade, the guy that got... It was kind of... I'm trying to think of a good tag team to draw it back to. Where you had the one guy who was amazing. Maybe Demolition. Where Axe was...
amazing in Demolition?
Come on, Barry Horowitz was amazing.
Barry Horowitz was not in Demolition.
I may have had... Yeah, he was. He played Axe.
That was Bill Eadie.
Who was the other guy then? Okay, now I'm pissed off. Now I'm Googling.
The other guy was
I am Googling.
The other guy was Repo Man and what the hell? I can't believe you just said Barry Horowitz was in Demolition.
No, I'm trying to figure it out. There was Barry Eadie and there was somebody else.
There was
I thought
Bill Eadie and Barry Darso, and then there was Crush later on.
Okay, I'm pissed now.
Because you're an idiot?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Come on, give me a break. I'm an idiot. What do you expect? No, Horowitz. What the hell was Horowitz in? Now I'm upset.
Horowitz was the winner.
Sad. Huh?
Winner Barry Horowitz.
Huh?
Barry Horowitz was the guy that always patted himself on the back.
I know. I'm just giving you shit at this point. Who the hell was the... All right, I give up. We're almost out of time, so I give up.
I have no idea who you're talking about. All right, so we're almost out of time with the NWA stuff, but Impact.
Well, before we get to Impact, because I do want to spend a little bit of time on the fact that this was the first AXS show, but before we get to Impact, you told me to make sure I didn't let you forget about a statement that was made by I can't remember his name, the leader of Contra,
Joseph Samael,
about how Jacob Fatu was the best champion in the world.
Right.
Thoughts? Because we kind of touched on it a little bit on Saturday between you and I, but I want to know your thoughts after a couple days of thinking about it.
Honestly, I really didn't think about it again until I was watching Impact, so I think we should table that discussion until I have a little bit more time to think about it. But I mean, it's really interesting because it also depends like where you want to take this to, because what do you consider a world champion? I mean, and obviously I'm not going to put WWE in this discussion.
No.
I probably would have considered putting NXT in there until what happened on Friday night. But
the fact that we have Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt as the two top champions. Now Bray, entertainment wise, in ring wise, maybe, but he just doesn't have the complete package that some of these other guys have. I mean, if you're going to go in the ring, just in the ring, to me, it's a 1 and 2 between Okada and Fatu. And then I would probably, for number 3, I would maybe go Adam Cole. And then if you look at overall champion, and this is just, and we'll give it another week to maybe think about it. It might change by then. But overall, as far as a performer, in-ring wrestler, outside performer, there's nobody better than Jericho right now. Nobody. And then Callahan is probably a second. Fatu just doesn't have the on-the-mic presence that those two have. And you look at guys like Roosh, you look at Okada, you look at Walter, Adam Cole, and even Bray Wyatt. Now, I'm not even talking about Brock Lesnar. I can't stand that sumbitch. But even Bray Wyatt, if Bray Wyatt is allowed to be the guy that he could be, he's easily in the discussion too. So it's really a lot more difficult than just saying, yeah, Jacob Fatu is the best. In the ring?
I'm going to disagree with you on this aspect. I will never entertain anybody in WWE in this discussion.
And that makes sense. And I get it. I truly do. Because that's not our forte. And as bad as and after the fucking match I saw in Saudi Arabia, I don't want to talk about them either.
And the other thing I'm going to say is that as much as you enjoy Sami Callihan, and we're talking him up last year, I think that I have a higher estimation of his in-ring ability than you do. Because I would never go out there and say that Fatu is a better in-ring performer than Sami Callihan. I just don't believe that to be the case.
You don't think so?
No.
With the moveset he has?
No, I think Callahan is dynamic in the ring.
I think Callahan is more of a character in the ring than he is a performer.
I know you do, and that's what I'm saying. Is I completely disagree with that. I don't see how you could watch his match against Tessa and his match against Cage and his match against both matches against Cage, I should say, and his match against that 6-man tag earlier in the year, his matches against what the hell is his name now? I'm trying to fucking draw a blank on it. Pentagon, and say that he's not a fantastic in-ring performer.
I think he is a genius with bringing his character into the ring. There is nobody on the planet right now that I would say is better than him as far as bringing his character and who he portrays himself outside the ring into the ring. Nobody. Because you look at everybody across the board, and not even just champions. Is there anybody that holds their character throughout every match? Or are they just out there trying to perform and be a good wrestler, and then they let their character shine after the match or before the match, or it's never in the middle of the match? Maybe Jay White could be about the only one, and probably Naito are the only ones that really let their character shine throughout the match, and their character, not their ability, their character.
You got to put ZSJ in that mix too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're right. You do. And MJF too. MJF has had some really good character. And Matt Taven, I guess, would be another one. But as far as, outside of, 5 or 6 people, Sami Callihan is amazing bringing his character into the ring. But I just don't know how talented he is as far as that technical wrestler goes, as far as that storytelling without his character.
I think he uses gimmicks so much that that it's smokescreen, that you miss how great he actually is as a wrestler.
And that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think there's wrestlers that use that smokescreen because they're not a great wrestler, and I think because of Callahan's character the way it is, he just doesn't wrestle. He just doesn't use that technical style as much as he could, as much as he's capable of because of that character.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think Sammy is amazing.
But when I watch him, I can see how amazing he is in that ring.
Don't get me wrong. I think he has some amazing ability. I just don't think I've seen it to the full potential yet.
And you mentioned Taven, so I'm also gonna ask you, at the risk of breaking your heart, if you saw what happened to Taven.
Yes, I did.
Because he got punked by Vinny.
I know, and I hate it.
And the kingdom is dead.
I know, I hate it.
Okay.
I really, really hate it. Made me cry. And I'm sad now that you brought that up. I can't finish the show, man.
Well, I think we're gonna have to watch a little bit of ROH just to watch that play out, because
I know I do.
Because I was completely amazed when I saw that on Twitter this weekend.
Yeah, I saw it too, and I was like, shit, now I gotta watch ROH. Yeah. Damn it. I don't have time for that. Not gonna make time. No, I saw that too, and I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. As much as and one of the running jokes we had in the beginning was my love for Marty Scurll. And the fact that Ring of Honor has not been good lately has really made it hard for me to love Marty Scurll. Mm-hmm. But this storyline with the Kingdom, I need to watch what's going on. I have to. And I'm a little annoyed that Ring of Honor TV is so far behind.
Yeah, but the good thing is having Honor Club, we can watch those matches anytime we want to.
Good point. Glad I paid for that again.
Because they've recently, in the last, 6 months or whatever, they've changed it so that Honor Club can watch their TV tapings live, and then have them available on demand as well. Okay.
I'm into Ring of Honor again. That was my biggest complaint about Ring of Honor, is not the storytelling, not the fact that the Elite left, the fact that they were so far behind on Ring of Honor TV. Mm-hmm. If I can watch it and keep up to date with the storyline, that might suck me back in. They've got some amazing talent there.
Did you not realize they had done this? Because I swear I told you.
No, and you probably did. Dude, between my job and wrestling and children, and I don't know what day it is.
And Dixon's.
What day? All right, let's hold up on that. What the fuck day is it? I don't even know anymore.
It's still Monday. You're watching Monday Night Raw. It's obviously Monday.
I've worked like 17 days in a row. I have no clue what day it is. All right, so we'll table that discussion for next week. Anything else you got?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, one thing I do need to do, and I'm sorry it took this long. I wanted to call that out in the beginning, but our Patreons, you guys, thank you. Anyone that signs up with Patreon, you are helping us out, because it's a way to not only for us to promote the show, and not only for us to give you content that you can't find anywhere else, because we post stuff to Patreon, we post nowhere. And I realize we're a month or so behind on things. We're hoping to rectify that this week. We're hoping to get a couple of shows up. We got some change in the tiers that'll help people out. But we've got a handful of subscribers, and you guys are helping us dearly to keep giving you the content. Kathy, by far one of my favorite people, not only on Twitter but just on this planet. There's conversations I have with her that just make me happy. Ryan is one of the best, probably one of the best guys to help us find matches that we would normally not see. This guy watches more wrestling than we do, and that's a very tough task. But Ryan, you're greatly appreciated. Kathy, of course. We've got Clifton, who is a new subscriber, someone I'm not sure about, but hit me up on Twitter. I would love to talk to you. We've got Jacob. We've got Byron. We've got looks like Ralph. Ralph? Really? There's people named Ralph now? guys, thank you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for your donations. And it definitely does give us a little bit more on the back end to help produce this stuff. But check us out. You can donate to us. You can listen to live or exclusive content on our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. Also check us out on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like on every video you see. Click every video you see and hit the subscribe button, because all of that will help us out to get to where we can actually start doing maybe some live videos on YouTube. Whenever Shane and I get bored or just have something that comes out of nowhere, granted 2 shows a week, it's a little bit hard for that, but you never know. Sometimes we can throw some videos there. That's youtube.com/Kingdom of Honor. There's also Twitter. Follow me at Rigi Co-op. You'll get not just wrestling talk, but I'm a degenerate gambler, so there's football, there's basketball, there's hockey, there's baseball, there's all kinds of stuff on there. And Zanman, you can follow him at ZanmanLOP, and use hashtag KOH and hashtag DAD for Dynamite After Dark to follow us quicker. That's about all I got.
And don't forget that now any LOP radio show about the next day or so goes up on the LOP YouTube channel as well. Global Revolution is currently on hiatus, but make sure you stay tuned to all the other LOP radio shows. On Wednesday, Sports Entertainment is Dead, and of course, like Jeff mentioned, we'll be back with you with Dynamite After Dark right after AEW goes off the air Wednesday night with our instant reaction. On Thursday is MC LOP Radio Adventure. On Friday, The Right Side of the Pond, and then we'll be right back with you next Monday talking about probably NWA Power, Impact, maybe some NXT, MLW. Whatever
whatever sparks our interest this weekend. Basically, we got some tag league going on. Now I got to get caught up in Ring of Honor. Damn it!
Speaking of tag league and NWA, it's now been announced that Jericho versus Tanahashi is set for January 5th. Tokyo Dome show number 2.
Really?
Yep. So,
really?
Really.
Okay, that's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Damn it. Too much wrestling to watch. Enjoy it, guys. It's seriously, we are in a time when wrestling is at the forefront. Everybody loved the Attitude Era and all that, but if you think back, there were only 3 wrestling promotions. For the last 15, 16 years, there's been 1, maybe 2. Now we have so many wrestling promotions out there that it's hard to keep track. Enjoy the time that we are having right now, because this is one of the time stuff.
Absolutely. And when we say there's so much to watch, we're not really complaining. We're just wondering where the hell we're going to fit it in.
Exactly. And
Jeff, I don't remember if I mentioned this to you or not, but I did mention it to Imp that I think it'd be fun if we were able to do like back-to-back live aftershocks after the 2 days of Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing. I'm in.
Because I believe they're on Saturday and Sunday this year, so we could it would be like a whole lot of vampire type stuff where we're staying up and then sleeping during the day. But I think it'd be a blast to do that.
I'm fine with it. I'll take Monday off. I don't care. It's January. I'm done with my busy season by then. And Imp is a guy that I really, truly love. He is amazing with his commentary, his just whatever he does. He's a guy that, check him out on Twitter. Listen to a show on YouTube or on LOP Radio. This is a guy that knows his stuff and is one of the few people on this planet that I will listen to and just absolutely adore what he does.
Yeah, he's really good, and so if we do like a 3-man weave for those 2 shows, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would. I'm definitely down for it, especially now that my voice is back.
Excellent.
You're waiting for me to talk, weren't you? You were waiting for me to say more. Oh my God. Go for it. Yes, say goodbye.
That's all we've got. We'll try to do better next time. This is Shane saying long days, pleasant nights, and Jeff saying
Goodbye.
G1 Climax 27. Goodbye and good night. Bang.